Welcome to the Johnny Dell Football Academy podcast on the channel that's trying to answer the whys and hows of the game by talking through and dissecting game film and diving deeper to explain why the X's zig and the O's zag. I am Adam Marino, joined by Mr. Johnny Dell, and we are reminding you, as always, the most fun way to watch is on YouTube, where we go live. There you can comment into the live show. Be sure to hit the notification bell and turn on your notifications so you can be a part of the conversation. We also stream live on Facebook and X. Also, the audio versions are always found on Spotify, Apple, wherever you get your podcasts. Now, if you are live with us in the chat, it's probably because you are subscribed, you've hit the notification bell, and turned those notifications on. So, when sharing with your friends, be sure to let them know. We also love to hear from you outside of our live show. Email us at johnnydellsfootballacademy@gmail.com, and you can always check out the website JFA49.com, as it is the most fun way to support the channel. Also, the way we boost the chat and boost the algorithm is to type out hashtag JD49. All right, we are clicking our heels together 3 times saying we love technology, we love technology, we love technology. So that's enough on that. We're going to stay in a good mood, Johnny.
Yeah.
It is a victory Monday, sort of. We are going to take it. We had a victory Friday. We're taking a victory Monday. If you don't like it, go like another team. We are happy and excited. Got some time off. Today is Monday, October 14th. We're going to get into a lot of stuff. Johnny, is the video done?
It is done. It is ready to go. But it is not published yet. It thankfully did pass through the copyright checks, which is the hardest thing. It's been getting harder and harder to make it through that, as the NFL, they're not trying to crack down on content like what I'm making. What they're trying to crack down on is people just posting the game film and leaving it as it is. And that's kind of making it's making it difficult, because it's not like they're watching my videos and then reporting me. It's the automatic YouTube algorithm, and it's getting a little bit harder and harder. Plus, I think they're uploading certain clips as things that they may do analysis on later, and then just saying, this is ours. We're, kind of, we own it first, so we're going to make sure that we aren't the ones getting copyrighted checked. You are. And so it is becoming harder and harder. That is why I appreciate everybody at JFA49.com, the members there. That is the number one way that these videos are produced, is through that direct support, because like I said, it is getting harder and harder to get through the YouTube side of everything. But the video is done. It's in the can. It has been uploaded to YouTube. It has processed through. I just got to make the thumbnail. Got to do all the
Finishing touches.
The finishing touches just for posting it on YouTube. I will be uploading it to the members website here once we get off the stream. So hopefully it will be live on the members website within 25 minutes of when this show ends, and ready to go there. But I want to schedule it for an 11:30 a.m. Pacific time release for the day. I want to try and hit everybody when they're around lunch, mainly on the West Coast, and not run into Monday Night Football tonight, because that generally kills the viewership. So
I feel like today more people are going to be interested in watching baseball playoffs than the Bills and Jets, but football is football, I guess.
It is, and I mean, you have Jeff Ulbrich making his debut.
Shout out number 53.
There, and I mean, look, it's football. There's nothing else on. It's the only football being played. Well, I'm just meaning, like,
I know.
The NFL.
It is football.
It's one of those things of, like, the NFL knows no matter what quality of the game that's on when it's a primetime game, we're gonna probably watch. I mean, we saw that with Thursday Night Football last season. It was like the first 10 games of last season were just absolutely bad. It was not good. So yeah, it's it should be an interesting thing tonight.
Yep. So also definitely interesting the little technical difficulties. Johnny's using a different computer, so he just now mirrored his.
Yes, I
I
figured it
was
out. I was like, "Wait a minute, my hat the
I
letters in my
told you
hat
to
are
do
backwards."
it, but it was when you couldn't hear me. We had so
Yeah.
many technical difficulties anyway. So the first thing I guess I want to get into
Well,
is
there's some breaking news. We don't break a lot of news on this channel because that's not what
let's
we
do
we
it.
don't got the connections. And I guess it's not that breaking, but about 40 minutes ago, Jonathan Feliciano did tweet out that he's it was a SpongeBob GIF that's I'm ready. So Jonathan Feliciano coming back this week, hopefully. Probably just waiting on the official 49ers activation of him of his practice window. And if he says he's ready, then that means he should be practicing this week. I doubt that this week with anything that he would be inserted into the starting lineup in any way. But what that does mean is that he would be the backup across the interior offensive line, left guard, center, right guard. That's big news because Spencer Burford was the backup in the Super Bowl. He was the backup against the Seahawks, and I want Spencer Burford to play well, but the film was not good from Thursday night when he was in the game. It just wasn't. Um, when he talked to Jordan Elliott, who does a great job with NBC News, that he felt more comfortable. Spencer Burford, this is about playing left guard because that was where he played on the left side for so long in college, and it just felt more natural to him there. You could have fooled me watching the film. There was just same issues that we have seen from him: slow footwork, slow recognition of some things, and so having Jonathan Feliciano back and being a backup there, especially when it seems like we keep dealing with cramps on our offensive line, is huge.
Big time to have Feliciano. We're excited. Hopefully, more word. Later this week. This was about an hour ago, so more news to
Less than an
come.
hour ago. Less than an hour ago.
Yeah, yeah.
And if they make a change for him to elevate into that starting center spot, which I don't think is off the table, um, then I see that happening after the bye week. Give them 2 weeks to prepare, a week of, almost dead space in there. If they were to ask him to do that, they can bring in, ask the guys in the offensive line, hey, we want to work Jonathan in and see how that happens. Can we stick around this week and get some extra work in? Because the guys can do that. So if they were to make a change at center, I would see that happening after the bye, after the Cowboys game.
So there was a few people talking about it, and Lisa mentioned actually was a great day yesterday, as you mentioned the Cowboys, the Seahawks, Cardinals, Cowboys, Raiders, they all lost this week. Um, the Did you see the Aiden Hutchinson leg injury? Did you happen to catch it?
Yeah, I did. I sent I sent it to a buddy. I was like, dude, if you're squeamish, he was like, I don't do broken bones, and he was like, I'm not even opening it. And I sent him a screenshot of it, and he was like, why would you do
Why would
that?
you do that? Yeah.
He's like, I don't handle broken bones. That was gnarly, man. Like, I don't mean to make light. Sometimes, morbid humor is how I process things, but I don't mean to make light of what Aiden Hutchinson's about to go through in his recovery, because that is as brutal of a leg injury as you will see in sports. It reminded me, a lot of people, it reminded him of Bryant Young. I believe it was 97.
Oh,
When Bryant Young's leg injury happened, or Alex Smith with the Redskins is what it reminded me of. Hopefully, he doesn't deal with the infection issues that Alex did. I mean, that was gnarly what Alex had to go through. I mean, you're looking at rods, pins, screws, everything. They're going to put the whole hardware store in that leg. It was as gnarly a leg injury as I've ever seen. If you're squeamish about broken bones, do not go watch the video of that.
yeah. And I was talking to a few people over the weekend watching the Ohio State Oregon game, the LSU game, went into overtime. Just a great weekend of sports watching. And they were talking about Aiden Hutchinson on pace for defensive player of the year, since they typically don't give it to linebackers in the same way that they give it to defensive ends. And this may open the door for Fred Warner to be a serious conversation now, because if he was the front runner, and you hate that it's through injury, but now if Fred Warner, man, if he has a game against Kansas City, and we'll talk a little bit about that, like that, just, and that's just, we're talking about Aiden Hutchinson. He is a great player. The Lions, the NFC North, we talked about this. They all looked good. Now you're going to look good when you play against the team that comes from Jacksonville, because they are just trash.
They're
Whether
so
you
bad.
play whether you play in this country or another country, if you're playing the Jags, you're going to look good. So the Bears, their rookie looked not like a rookie.
I mean,
You know,
well, the Jaguars look headed straight back to what got them Trevor Lawrence in the first place. I mean, for real, like, let's just be real. Like, uh, who is gonna place behind the Jaguars right now? Maybe the Giants, maybe.
the
I
Titans,
mean, yeah, but I
they
don't know. I
lost
mean,
to Joe
the the Ti
Flacco.
the Titans have a way of fumbling so many things that I think they could even fumble being the number 1 overall pick.
Like
Um,
when the Bears and Texans kind of had that little,
yeah,
yeah,
I mean, so I don't know. And look, the Titans and Jacksonville, they're both a mess, and they deserve each other in that division. Houston should literally just run away with that division. It
they
shouldn't even
will,
get close.
and they will.
I mean, their only real test is Indianapolis, which is so weird that Indianapolis is in the AFC South. I can never understand that, of why.
It's closer to Canada than in
Yeah,
a lot
I
of
mean, come
places.
on. Uh
Yeah,
but okay. Um, but yeah, I mean, maybe the Panthers. Like, there's some really bad teams this year. The Jaguars, Panthers, Titans. I think there's no question that they are in the conversation for worst teams in the NFL. There's a few teams that are in the conversation for best teams. I do think that this, you know, you don't wish injury on anybody, and I would rather beat the Lions as, them at full strength, but that injury is akin to when the 49ers lost Bosa in 2020. I mean, that is as big of an injury for a defense
yeah.
as it gets in this league, or when the Steelers lost TJ Watt. You don't just replace, it's not just next man up. They have to have that mindset. They're going to say it's that. They're going to, try and rally
Dan
around, but
Campbell for sure will do that. Yeah,
you cannot replace an Aiden Hutchinson. That defense now is really that's gonna stress the back end so much more. That's gonna stress their edges more. That's gonna stress their depth in all of that. And like you said, with Fred Warner and Defensive Player of the Year, I think at this point, Fred Warner, it has to be the clear leader for Defensive Player of the Year right now.
right,
It's
which is
it's not
awesome.
even close to me. And one thing people will see when the video comes out, and I posted one of these clips on X, but Fred Warner was affecting the game more than just the plays that you saw him make. There was a goal line stand late in the game that got overlooked because we won, but the Seahawks, if you remember, got down to the 1 yard line against us. And it was right before the end of the second half. They had something like 13 seconds left, 20 seconds left. They ran 3 plays and couldn't get into the end zone. That was the one that DK's toes were just over the line at the back of the end zone, was the third down play. But the first down play, they ran a pick play to Tyler Lockett. Lockett was wide open, and it looked like Geno Smith just missed him. And that's what they said on the broadcast. But when you watch the all 22 and the end zone angles, you could see Fred Warner flashed right in front of Geno. If Geno had thrown that ball straight at Lockett, if he had actually hit Lockett, Fred Warner was looking at a pick six, a 99-yard pick six, because he flashed right in the throwing lane, and that's why the ball sails, because Geno tried to get it over Fred Warner. Fred was literally one outstretched arm reaching up trying to deflect the pass. As my hand motions are totally messing with my camera, I hate that. As he's throwing his one hand up, and he barely misses the ball, and that's why the ball sailed too high for Lockett, because I mean, Fred's like 6'3", 6'2", something like that. I mean, he's a tall dude. And you could see Fred after it, he kneels down and he's going just by an inch that he almost had that ball. And that's why it goes incomplete. And then that cascades down to that's how they create that goal line stand. So that's a play that Fred Warner is making. People aren't seeing. That's one reason I put it on X. The Renardo Green pick, the reason why that ball came out late, and there's, people are saying, I saw it on there that, DK was leaving his quarterback out to dry by drifting upfield. Actually, that was a second window throw that Gino was trying to make because Fred Warner closed the first window. That it was a double dig. Gino sees Lockett comes across the field first. DK's coming in behind it, and Fred Warner is sitting in the first window to Lockett, and so he thinks he's got DK inside. And the moment he looks that way, Fred bursts, and he's actually moving to cover the running back. But again, he's so tall that he flashes in that first window. And you could see Gino cock like he was going to throw it and start to set, and he pulls the ball down, and then he resets, and he tries to make a second window throw. That's what gave Renardo Green time to break on the ball. So that Renardo Green interception is, again, caused by Fred Warner getting into the throwing lane, flashing. So he's got another forced fumble in this game. Guy's leading the league in forced fumbles. He's making all the tackles on this defense just about. He's got an interception on the year, and a pick six on the year, 2 interceptions, excuse me, on the year, and has forced another interception and forced another goal line stand. Like, the dude is playing out of his mind this year. And so it's all of those things. Like, in my view, there is nobody in the NFL that is playing better than Fred Warner, and it's not close.
Right. I mean, when you look around the league, you're right. It really is not close. So I was looking at the standings, the up to the second standings, and the following teams um have a winning record. There are 14 of them. We are not, unfortunately, on that list as we are at 500, but the following teams are 500 or better: the Eagles, Chargers, Bills, Packers, Bucks, Bears, Steelers, Commanders, Ravens, Falcons. Now, these teams have one loss: Lions and Texans. And then, of course, the Vikings and Chiefs are undefeated. That list is crazy. Like Buffalo doesn't seem like that good of a team, and they're 3-2. The Bears, I think, will find a way to screw things up here soon. They're 4-2. The Steelers don't seem to be that good. The Commanders did not look terrible against the Ravens. That was a really good football game. If you're a fan of football and the Niners aren't playing, Jaden Daniels versus Lamar Jackson was kind of fun, and both those teams are 4-2. But that's why we watch. It was mentioned in the chat. Oh, how did we lose to the Cardinals? The Cardinals didn't look good against Green Bay. And it's like, yeah, the Giants played, if anyone watched that game, that was not a very good game. The Giants and Bengals, the Bengals couldn't really score on the Giants. And you look at the Giants aren't very good. And yet last week against the Ravens, who's good, they scored like 5 touchdowns, the Bengals did. So it's just one of those things. It's the NFL. We love it, and we love super chats. Thank you, Lisa. Defensive Player of the Year for 2024, the Predator. Okay,
The Predator, yeah.
I don't know if I've heard that one.
You haven't heard that one? I put it on X.
Oh, I didn't
I
see
did.
it.
I said the Predator, which, I mean, he's been called the Predator before, because he looks like the Predator running out there with the dreads
With
and
his hair,
just
yeah.
flying around. You're tall, blowing everything up. Good question here from Bruno. He says, "Red zone allergic. Will we get over this hump?"
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great question. We have been struggling in the red zone. So one thing I'm going to do is, there were some people who really enjoyed the different change of format that I had on my review breakdown last week, of going to sometimes what I do here in the lives of walking through the plays, a little more detail, sometimes a little slower, and going back over things. Some people are like, hey, I could really understand some more of that stuff. What I'm going to try and do is record all of our red zone plays, so we can look at every single one of them and what the issues are in every single one of them, and that's going to be posted on the members website. I've been looking at what can I do for my members that's a little bit easier, and that would be a format that is much easier and more chewable to handle. I am trying, because we have the shorter week and I already have the review video done today, of trying to dive into the Chiefs and do a scouting video here for the Chiefs. So really dive into that game, into what these teams, because these teams are not the same ones that necessarily met in the Super Bowl. We're gonna see some differences. So I'm gonna be diving into what the Chiefs are doing on their side. So hopefully I can get that video out this week as well. So some stuff I'm really trying to nail down and get through this week. But that's one thing that I'm going to be covering there of some of our red zone issues. Now, we were able to get 2 red zone touchdowns in the game, which was huge. You would like to see more. Actually, excuse me, 3 red zone touchdowns, because the late touchdown by Juice. So I believe we were 3 of 6 in the red zone. And there's just there are some different issues there. 40% or 50% in the red zone is not good enough. As far as touchdown percentage, we have been better in the past. And yes, a lot of it has to do with Christian McCaffrey not being there. A lot of it has to do with that. But some of it has not always been that way. Some of it has been, Brock Purdy getting used to Christian McCaffrey not being there. And so, I would like to see their red zone. And again, this has to happen over a number of games, but I would like to see the red zone touchdown percentage be closer to 70%. I think, really you need to score at least 2 out of 3 times, when you're in the red zone, a touchdown. So, that's 66%. So I want to see it move towards that 70% and kind of, get to that point. I just think you can't rely on, if you're right at 50% or 60%, that's not quite good enough for me. So I want to see it be at least 2 out of 3. So if you're down in there 6 times, you're going to get 4 touchdowns. That's what needs to happen.
Getting some players back definitely helps, whether it's a lineman or a receiver or a running back. I mean, we have key linemen coming back, key weapons hopefully coming back, that hopefully makes a difference. We're excited to watch your film when it comes out. Again, check out the website if you want the early dibs, jfa49.com, to always see the videos. Johnny providing great value on that. So do we want to get into what the Chiefs have going on and different things that we see? That, man, it's Monday and I'm like, I'm not Eminem over here. My palms aren't quite sweaty. I do
But you
enjoy
are
mom's
eating mom's
spaghetti.
spaghetti.
Well, I always love mom's spaghetti. It's really good. But which, by the way, I don't know if people know this. Out here, people know, because I'm not that far from Detroit, but there is a place in Detroit called Mom's Spaghetti. I don't know if you guys are aware of that, but that's kind of cool if you're ever in Detroit.
All right.
So yeah, what I don't know what to think yet. I know it's only Monday, so maybe that's okay.
Well, I mean, the real matchup is going to be Kyle Shanahan versus Steve Spagnuolo.
Yeah, I
I
knew
mean,
you were gonna
that
say
has
that.
been the challenge. And
Yeah, I don't like that challenge. I'm not fond of
I
it.
mean, look, and what
Because
the
in
issue?
crunch time, we do well, but then
Yeah.
in crunch time, we don't. That's
Well,
my
yes and
issue.
no. Yes and no. I mean, I remember 2018. We didn't do jack offensively through the first half of that game, the game that Jimmy got hurt. And then the second half, we nearly came back. We got it within 8 points. We scored something like 26 points in the game, and most of those came in the second half. I think we had a failed 2-point conversion. That's why it was 26. I want to say it was 26. I think that game ended 26-34. I want to say that's how it was. And we started really moving the ball there in the second half. Against the Chiefs this last time, the offense, the last 3 drives did pick it up, and they got down there and they were moving the ball, and you just end up like 1 block away from having enough. And the thing that what makes both of these guys so good, and what makes it such a frustrating game for 49ers fans, is Spagnuolo has a really good idea of figuring out of reverse engineering. What are you trying to get from me in those opening scripted drives? And he also has a good way of saying, I can set this up where I will do something during the opening script that isn't going to give you an answer of what I really want to do, but is going to be enough to where I believe we can stop you. So they don't make it easy for you on that first drive, but also don't give you their entire game plan. And that's what makes him so tough. The thing that I think frustrate I don't know if frustrates me, but I guess I'm in a I okay, what we hear about is Shanahan really struggles against some of these guys like Steve Spagnuolo and Jim Schwartz. And and people go, and that's a concern for me. And I go, why? Because these are some of the best defensive minds we have in the game and some of the best defensive players on their side that we have in the game. Um, it shouldn't come as a surprise that you struggle scoring points against them because everybody struggles scoring points against them. It's only when something wild happens and there's a rare it's more on the Chiefs have to really mess up their job for them to have given up like 28 35 points in a game. That is the exception, not the rule, and that's more likely they did something really bad than another team's offense did something really good to make that happen. Because overall, very few teams can score points at any sort of consistent basis against them. So it shouldn't come as a surprise that we struggle scoring points there. Now, obviously, I'm not saying it's acceptable. You need to be better. You need to be able to win. But this idea that that's somehow a definitive statement on Kyle Shanahan as his ability as a head coach because he can't, he struggles against these two guys. No, everybody does. Um, Show me an offensive coordinator who is consistently or a head coach who has consistently been able to put up a lot of points on Steve Spagnuolo. They don't exist. And unless you have to pull like the Rams when he was head coach of the Rams to find that. He's a great defensive mind. And there's some people that have, gotten him for a lot of points, but again, it has more to do with the Chiefs not doing what they really do really well. Steve Spagnuolo is just, and he makes so many good in-game adjustments of he's got like punch, counterpunch, punch, counterpunch. He is the defensive counterpart to what Kyle Shanahan is on the offense. Of that, he's got these counters off of his counters off of his counters and knows when to call them. So that is the big matchup, and it's really going to come down to when you have minds that are so equally matched. It really does come down to individual players winning their individual matchups. So that's going to be when they're in man coverage and zero man coverage, which Spags will run every once in a while. Your guys have to win that matchup. Your quarterback has to be able to get to his hot, and your hot has to win his matchup. If you get a certain zone matchup where you're going to win, like for example, when you're playing the Cardinals and you get Deebo Samuel matched up on a linebacker in a zone matching defense, that Deebo wins because that is a favorable matchup. Deebo on a linebacker. So when you get those matchups, you have to win those. The players have to execute that and win that. There's a reason that players are paid so much more than head coaches because they're the ones who have to execute those matchups on the field. I remember I asked a question of Mike Nolan once that was, when you're game planning, do you try and defeat somebody else's scheme or their players? And he said, well, different people have different approaches to it. But he goes, for me as a defensive coordinator, I need to take away their offensive weapons first because players are paid so much to be special in those ways. So we got to take away those. And he said it. He said players are paid a lot more than coaches are. I think the highest paid NFL coach right now is something like $11-12 million a year. And, Christian McCaffrey makes 19. Patrick Mahomes is making 60. Brandon Ayuk is making 30. You pay that because those players have to execute those mismatches, and they create mismatches. So what this game is going to come down to is those players have to take advantage of their mismatches.
So speaking of mismatches, Technic Chick asked thoughts on whether opening Pearsall's window, and if Pearsall sees some snaps talking matchups, he could be a matchup problem.
Yeah, I would, Pearsall is exactly this game is exactly one of the reasons why you drafted Ricky Pearsall, because his specialty is being inside in more of that slot area and being able to beat man coverage. So, this is one reason you go out and you get a Ricky Pearsall, because you needed a second guy with speed who could beat man coverage. Um, that you can then use to beat zone coverage as well. And so I think they're definitely going to have him on a pitch count, but they're absolutely going to open his practice window this week. The good news is, I mean, I guess the slightly good news is that the unfortunate incident when he got shot did allow that shoulder a little more time, because I believe it was his other shoulder, to heal up a little bit, and he's been able to get back. So I expect that John Feliciano's practice window to be open. I expect Ricky Pearsall's window to be open. I do expect Dre Greenlaw's window to be open probably after the bye. I think, I would love to have him this game, but I think he's coming back after the bye. He was on the sidelines versus the Cardinals game. So, he's out there, he's able to move, and he was even scrapping and getting into it with one of the Cardinals players when they ended up on the 49ers sideline. He ended up getting fined 14 grand for it. But we do have some reinforcements on the way. I think this team, if they can take down this Chiefs team, that would be so huge. I mean, the Chiefs are not 100% either. Their offense is not 100%. Rashee Rice is not out there. He's their receiver that they were really looking for. He's surely gone for the year. And their offensive line has not been good. The question will come down to, on defensively, is stopping Patrick Mahomes in that Chiefs offense is, can you beat the refs in this? Because they allow that holding, and the Chiefs, they're kind of like Pete Carroll with the Legion of Boom defense, how they would push it right to the edge of how much you could hold receivers, and they were going to make it, try and put it right in that gray area, because they knew you were only going to call maybe 2 of them, 3 of them a game. That's what the Chiefs do with their offensive line. They push it right to the gray area. They practice it that way. They execute it that way. They've done it for years. And so, that's going to be the question of how much of that comes in. I don't expect this Chiefs offense to put up 30 points. I don't. Um, but our defense needs to come and make some plays then, and
When
and
it
and really get
counts.
after him, and plays when it counts.
Third and
It's just,
8 in the second
so
half. Like
yeah,
how
yeah.
many first downs are you giving up on 3rd and 8 when you let Mahomes outside the pocket? Like, that's the stuff that I just can't fathom of how many times we let that happen. Not even when it's Mahomes, let alone when it is, it just hits you even harder because it's the Chiefs. One thing we talked about factors, and the X factor will be Andy Reid in this, but you look at the AFC, and the only team that has one loss, we know the Chiefs have zero, is the Houston Texans, and they don't strike anyone, I don't think, as being able to sustain that, where they're going to be,
Oh man.
even 13-2 in a couple months or whatever. Like, they're going to pile up a few losses, we would
Man,
assume.
my friend Cody's gonna be coming for you. Got a good friend, Cody. He's a diehard Texans fan.
Texans,
He was sending me a
they're good.
Texans hype video this morning. But we were talking yesterday. He's like, yeah, our defense is looking all right. He's like, Jimmy Ward's out, not surprised. you know,
Right, we know.
and 49ers fans were like, yup.
No, Will Anderson is the real deal from Alabama,
From
and I mean,
Alabama.
the defense, and of course we love D'Amico. My whole point is they are in the AFC South. They're not even in the West with the Chiefs. Every other team in the AFC has 2 losses. And so when you talk about
Mhm.
desperation, the Chiefs simply don't have it. And why I say Andy Reid's the X factor, he's no rookie. He knows that, and he'll have his team ready to go and fired up. But I do wonder if there is a slight edge to the Niners in that factor, as far as if we lose, we dip to under 500 and we don't get the monkey, the proverbial monkey of the Chiefs off our back. Whereas if we beat them, the world is talking about us again as okay, the Niners are for real. Right now, half the people are saying Niners are for real, and half of them are saying, see, Super Bowl hangover. So there's that factor
Yeah.
too. But the only thing that is, like I said, it's Andy Reid. He's going to, I would think, address not in the same way that Bill Belichick would, but in his own way, maybe have a burger in his hand and say, guys, we have to be the more desperate team. I mean, that's how else are they
Um,
undefeated right now?
well, they're undefeated because I mean they made
Don't
some
say
decent plays.
refs. Don't say the refs.
I'm not saying refs. I'm not saying refs at all.
I know. That's what most people
Just
say.
more like they're a team that has been able to stay together. I mean, stay together. They know what they do. They've been able to do it for a long time. Um, I mean, but also it's not like they've blown some of these teams out. You know, the Chargers, the Chargers just have some issues. There's a reason that Jim Harbaugh is the brand new head coach there because they had some issues. If you look at who they played, the Bengals have not been good this year, and the Bengals were very, very injured. The opening game, I think, was their toughest game. It was against the Ravens, defending or rematch of the AFC
And they
Championship
almost
game.
lost that.
And they almost lost that game. And there was an interception callback that was thrown in that game that was called back. Like, that was a game
Well,
that
and the
that was
toe,
hard.
likely, the likely toe.
And the likely toe, and the Ravens didn't. The Ravens also partially gave that game away. I mean, the Ravens, they didn't do what they needed to do. They beat the Chargers 17-10. Chargers offense couldn't do anything against them. And that Chargers defense, I mean, would you say that the Chargers defense is better than the 49ers defense?
No.
No. So, I mean, I don't see that as so that their offense only scored 17 points. They beat the Saints, who were starting a right guard who was signed off of the Jets practice squad that week. When they played the Bengals again, that was a game. Patrick Mahomes ended that game, and then it was, oh, we had a penalty. And so, uh, you know, yes, I'm not discounting the Chiefs because the Chiefs have obviously got the winning record behind that. And it's like people say, you make your own luck. That you can't say a team just gets lucky over and over and over again for 5 years when they've won 3 Super Bowls and all that stuff. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying we have this idea that they're Superman. But they're not. They're human, they're real. Um, they they're not unbeatable. They're not unstoppable. So I don't know. I don't think it's a situation um of Andy Reid eating a cheeseburger, firing his team up. I think they just understand who's gonna be less bad for longer. Like who's gonna not make a mistake, not make the horrible mistake the longest. Um and just be good longer. You don't have to be great for 4 quarters. You just have to be good longer than the other team, and that's what they tend to do. And that's what comes with that winning culture and knowing that you can beat everybody, is that there's no panic. They never panic on the sidelines. Travis Kelce will get mad and break his helmet and get into it with Andy Reid, but you never feel like they as a team are just like pressing in a game and they have to make a play. They just go, we don't have to be great in this moment. We just need to be good and be good longer than the other team. And they were in the fourth quarter against the 49ers. The 49ers, we had busted coverages there on the last couple drives that the Chiefs had, and they were good longer, and that's what equals being great. So they are a great team, but they're not unstoppable. I mean, the 49ers of the 80s lost a number of games. They didn't win the Super Bowl every year, and they were a great team. So they're not unbeatable.
No, definitely not. Thank you to Lisa Super chat. She asks, "Will Demo be a factor?" Man, I mean, he's been a factor in every single game, and so, Johnny, I can take this one. The answer is yes. He's been a factor in every game, and he will be a factor in this game. You agree, correct?
Yeah, and I would not be surprised, especially coming off of the performance that Renardo Green had. In my opinion, Renardo Green should be starting nickel. And I don't mean that in nickel slot guy. I mean, like Chris Culliver was with during the Harbaugh era, is that you had Terrell Brown and Carlos Rogers. Those were your base down corners. And then when you go nickel, Carlos Rogers would kick inside and Chris Culliver came in. Renardo Green needs to be our Chris Culliver and not Isaac Yadam. So if Mooney Ward's ready to go, then you have once you go nickel, Renardo Green's on the field, and you put Diamador Lenore on Travis Kelce, and that if you're in man coverage, that's going to be your matchup. You live with that because Diamador Lenore, yeah, he'll give up a couple catches there, but I think one he's got a great mentality. I mean, dude has got all the confidence in the world this year. When you have a guy who was one willing to pass up a contract extension from the 49ers. And he's not making, big time money. He's making fifth rounder money. He was willing to pass up probably a contract guaranteeing him millions of dollars in the neighborhood of probably 10 times of what he has made already in his career. That he passed that up because he says, I'm going to play so well this year. I'm going to go get me a $22 million a year contract next year. I mean, that's confidence. That's belief in yourself. And two, to post on your Instagram the day after the Seahawks game, trolling DK Metcalf about how you won't get out of the box I put you in. That's a confident dude. So I don't think he's not going to have his confidence shaken going against Travis Kelce and feel like I can't win against this guy. This guy just beats me every time. You have to have a guy that's able to match up on him that way. And you're not asking Fred Warner to match up on him. That's the biggest thing. I don't want to see that again. That was one of the biggest issues I had with Steve Wilkes is asking Fred Warner to match up one-on-one on Travis Kelce. That was not a good matchup. But they seem to be more willing to accept, okay, if we put Demo on Travis Kelce and they have three wide receivers on the field, we're okay with Jair Brown covering somebody in man coverage to have that matchup so that we will get that better matchup. Steve Wilkes never would have allowed something like that. So, that's where I think Demo will definitely be a factor in this game. I think after that it becomes about playing sound. Xavier Worthy to me is not somebody who you got to worry about beating you with great route running. But you can't let him get into space with a head of steam because dude's got game-changing speed. So it's about, contain that guy with his speed. Don't let him ruin the game for you. But really get Lenore on Travis Kelce, and you really like that matchup.
Yeah, I have to piggyback on a lot of stuff that you're talking about with some of the factors and the whys and hows of the game, which is why we love the channel. Be sure to show people your phone and to bring up the YouTube channel and to say, hey, check this out if you're interested in the whys and hows of 49er football. Here is an interesting stat that you can take with you guys. So the Chiefs have a plus 33 that if you add up all of their points, they have outscored their opponents by 33 points. The number of points when you add ours up is 32, and we are 3-3, boys and girls. And the Kansas City Chiefs have scored one more point in differential than us. We are 3-3. They are undefeated. So when you talk about a team that is not the world beaters, although they are undefeated. So obviously they're the Super Bowl champions and they haven't lost since last year, basically, right? So not only did they end their season on a win, but they have not lost since. So technically, they have defeated the world, but the stats will show they're not world beaters this season. There's definitely holes.
Well, and they weren't last year. I mean,
That's
they
fair too.
they weren't last year, and it came down to overtime. that's where it is hard because it's just yeah. We shouldn't have lost that Super Bowl, but it's they haven't been world beaters. This isn't the 2019 Chiefs. That 2019 Chiefs was so electric in every way, and their defense then showed up and played better than they had all year. So it's this isn't the 2019 Chiefs, but they are still a tough team. But like you said, they're not world beaters. They're not a team that is just impossible to beat.
Yeah, so excited for for the game. It's only Monday, and all we have is Aaron Rodgers versus Josh Allen tonight. Some baseball playoffs. We got the Warrior season coming up soon, which Johnny doesn't care about because he's not faithful to the Bay.
I'm faithful to the hometown
I give you a
my
dig
and
at
my
any
dad,
chance.
and
I
my
any
and I'm
chance.
faithful to my dad.
Yeah,
Jeez.
but not the Bay, as I am. I am FTTB. What up? Dre Area is in the chat. Be sure to follow Dre Area Sports. Yeah, technical difficulties, dude. You don't even want to know the half of it. We started so late.
I don't
Thank
even
you
wanna
to
know.
the faithful. There are over 100 watching live with us in the chat. So shout out to you guys and being patient with us as we love technology. We love technology. We love technology. There, I said it 3 times, so it has to be true. And yes, go Warriors. Yeah, and Bazamayan pointed out, um, talking about Demo, that he told Richard Sherman that he thought he'd be better in the slot for the Super Bowl, but Wilk shot it down. And Sherman was like, "Hey, buddy, you might need to go to the head coach about that next time." Like, I remember that story coming out,
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
it's
that is
like
good.
it's crazy to think. Oh
Yeah.
man. All right. So Johnny, real quick, sometimes we do this in front of everyone. We do it in front of the kids. What's our schedule this week? Do you want to go again? I don't mean okay, so the word it didn't mean what you took it as. I think
I didn't
your
necessarily take it
facial
as that, it
expression
was
took it there. I'm like,
no, your interpretation of my facial expression took it there.
no,
Uh,
okay, okay.
oh my
But
goodness. Okay,
sometimes we do
we
this
need to move on
offline.
quickly.
Yeah, sometimes we do it offline, sometimes we do it online where we discuss, all right, our schedule tentatively for the week. So I don't mind doing it online. There's 100 people watching. They want to know, are we going to go
Uh
again before
Yeah,
the
yeah,
Chiefs
yeah.
game?
We'll go again Friday. Hopefully, I'll watch some Chiefs film and understand that. I do appreciate now. One thing I'll also do that day is probably have if people are subscribed to uh, NFL Plus Premium, then I will put together a playlist of some of the plays I'm looking at of things in scouting the Chiefs because you can share stuff like that, and I'll post it on my X account of a playlist of what I'm watching and plays that to watch for that people want to go and watch them themselves. But I'm gonna try and scout through the Chiefs this week and see how much world beaters are they?
Yeah, exactly. Very cool. One last thing before we get you guys out of here. I was going through some stuff in the basement as I'm in between studios, basically, and I'm trying to make some moves here. And I was going through stuff, seeing what maybe I would want to bring with me to the next studio. And I have talked about this before, but this is my Jerry Rice autograph. And you can see when you Google Jerry Rice autograph, it is done in that way. I'm pretty confident that that is his. This is
Dang.
a
You're about to see Adam on Pawn Stars, getting
no way, man.
that signature checked.
So on the back of this napkin, it says Benihana, and there's a big fat grease stain, and I love it because my grandfather. I've told this story before, but my grandfather ran into him and Roger Craig and the offensive line and some of the offensive guys at Benihana, and no one was bothering them. But my grandfather went up right up to Jerry and said, "My grandson will disown me if I don't at least ask." And so Jerry was very gracious, and they found a pen and they
What do
put
you
it
think
on.
he was eating?
Man, I wonder in those days, like,
Rice?
this was so let's break down the year. So I'm 43. It was when I was in 5th grade. So this is 1992 or so, 1990. It's
Wait,
around
wait, how deep are you trying to get into this to figure out what he was eating? I don't think
well,
Benihana has changed their menu a whole lot.
no, but what I'm saying is you may splurge a little bit when you're older and you're done playing. So I'm saying that this is in his heyday of
I
playing.
I think you're missing it. I'm trying to say I think he was eating rice.
That commercial. Have you seen the commercial with CMC?
Yes.
Okay, that's what we're talking about. All right, that
I once
one
got an
flew over
autograph
the
from I once got an autograph from Jerry Rice as well.
well, what's your story?
Well, it wasn't the Jerry Rice. It was the father of one of my high school classmates.
Oh my
But
gosh, this is
his
not
name was Jerry Rice.
no, okay. This is not the whys and hows of the game. This is the outrageous and crazy.
It was a girl named Chelsea. She was one of my classmates. It was Chelsea Rice, and her dad was Jerry, and so we would ask for autographs, and so that happened. Just saying.
Okay.
It counts, sort of.
All right. No, it not really. Mine definitely counts. You can see it. So,
You can
um,
see this
you can
too.
you're right.
It didn't necessarily look like that, but I mean, probably wouldn't pass an inspection, but it was signed by a Jerry Rice.
Right, right. All right. I think I need to go eat some breakfast. Something. Uh,
Lunch now, Adam.
so no, well, and I'm on Bay Area time. Just in my mind, I'm always there.
Okay, okay.
So, all right. We will try and go Friday. Be sure to hit the notification bell so that you can be notified when new content drops. Not only the podcast, but of course, Johnny's breakdowns. Uh, at least we're entertaining for Lisa, it looks like. Uh, so, like I said, be sure to hit the notification
My
bell. Be
wife's like,
sure
"Bring it back in.
you
Reel it back
yeah,
in."
on what in the world? Well, hey, look, Don, you chose your husband, okay? We didn't.
That's
That you
true.
married into it.
That's true.
So, yes, be sure again, the best thing you can do for our channel is to take your phone and show Niner fans the channel, show them how many subscribers there are, show them your favorite video, show them, make sure you hit the live portion, and then all of our podcasts come on. We are on episode 167 today, which is so cool. So we'll try and catch you Thursday, follow up with all the latest news and all that with Feliciano, with Pearsall, with how Dre is doing, all that stuff. So we will see you soon. In the meantime and in between time, stay safe, stay healthy, and as always, go Niners.